The galaxy had long whispered of Earth as a forgotten backwater, a minor planet on the edge of a minor arm of the Milky Way. To the Imperial High Command, it was just another world to be annexed, another population to be bent under their banners of conquest. And so, when the Emperor grew restless, he ordered a fleet, 200 warships strong, to set course for Sol. To the commanders of the Imperial fleet, it was almost insulting. Why waste so many resources on such a primitive world? Reports showed Earth still used chemical rockets less than a century ago. Their radio transmissions spoke of music, politics, and trivial wars. No mention of hyperdrives, no sign of quantum shields. A simple operation, they thought. A victory already written. The people of Earth, however, were not blind. Their telescopes caught the shimmering lines of approaching drives weeks before the first warship breached the heliosphere. Humanity watched as an empire's armada descended, like a steel storm. Panic spread across cities. News feeds screamed of alien ships blotting out the stars. Yet curiously, Earth's governments did not launch their fleets. The orbital stations remained quiet. The colonies on Mars and Luna made no attempt to flee. To the outside eye, Earth looked paralyzed, weak, but beneath the crust of continents, in the hollowed-out depths of mountains, in chambers buried under oceans, the silent defense stirred. Admiral Kryos of the Imperial fleet stood tall upon the bridge of the dreadnought's sovereign flame. His confidence was unshakable. "Transmit surrender demands," he ordered. His voice echoed across the command deck, calm and arrogant. "Give them the chance to kneel before they are broken." The message was sent. Humans of Earth, submit to the Empire. Resist, and your world burns. The reply came minutes later. A single human face appeared on the view screen. A woman, old, her expression calm, her eyes steady. "You should not have come here," she said softly. Then the transmission cut. Laughter erupted across the bridge. Kryos sneered. "So be it. Arm plasma lances, prepare orbital bombardment." The fleet advanced into Earth's orbit. That was when the sky split. No ship launched from Earth. No missile rose from its surface. Instead, reality itself seemed to tear open. Lines of burning white light slashed across the void, silent and instantaneous. They struck the first row of Imperial cruisers, ships the size of cities, and sliced them clean in half. There was no warning, no charge-up signature, no energy surge their sensors could track. One moment, the fleet was intact. The next, wreckage burned in orbit, scattering like torn leaves in a storm. The bridge of sovereign flame erupted in chaos. "Shields down!" Someone screamed. "No, there were no impacts. Our systems didn't register." More beams cut through the black. Warships detonated like fragile toys. Admiral Kryos staggered to his feet, disbelief shaking his voice. "What weapon is this? Find it! Find it!" But they couldn't. Earth's surface looked still, serene, as if mocking them. Forests swayed in the wind. Oceans glittered under the sun. And yet, from somewhere hidden deep below, the unseen cannons continued to fire, silent and merciless. On Earth, in chambers that had been built in absolute secrecy, men and women sat. At consoles of alien design, the silent defense grid, activated for the first time in millennia, obeyed their touch. It was not of human making. Its designs had been uncovered decades earlier, buried under Antarctic ice, hidden beneath the Andes, encoded in ruins no history book recorded. The weapons had slept, waiting for the signal, and now, as humanity faced extinction, the ancient guardians had awoken. One operator whispered as another volley fired, "They never expected this." "They thought we were weak," her commander replied, grim and steady. "We were meant to look weak. That was always the plan." Above, the slaughter continued. Imperial destroyers, once proud, burst apart without resistance. Their shields, capable of withstanding suns, meant nothing before the precise lances of the defense grid. Admiral Krios's voice cracked with rage and fear. "Retreat! Pull us back!" But retreat was impossible. Every exit vector lit up with white fire. Ships trying to flee were shredded mid-jump, their drives collapsing in molten fragments. Within minutes, what had begun as an unstoppable invasion turned into a graveyard. Debris rained through Earth's upper atmosphere, burning like falling stars. The humans below watched in silence. Children pointed at the skies, mistaking wreckage for fireworks. Elders wept quietly, remembering all the times humanity had been called fragile, helpless, prey. Not anymore. On the bridge of the Sovereign Flame, silence fell. Half the fleet was gone. Communications shattered. Panic spread. Admiral Krios looked once more toward the blue planet below. For the first time in his long career, he felt fear. Not of losing a battle, empires always rebuilt fleets, but of something deeper. Earth had hidden its strength. It had waited. Krios's final thought before the beam took his ship was not of glory, nor shame, but dread. If this is their defense, what is their offense? The next day, the galaxy knew. Distress signals from the Imperial fleet had traveled before their destruction. Hundreds of listening posts across star systems picked up the screams, the shock, the raw terror in the final. Transmissions. 200 warships, an entire conquering armada, had been annihilated in minutes. No survivors, no captured cities, no slaves, only silence. And in that silence, fear spread across empires. They realized Earth was not a world to conquer. It was a world protected by something older, deadlier, and far beyond their understanding. The galaxy whispered, "A new truth. Do not..." The stars trembled with the coming of war. For centuries, the Galactic Empire had ruled with iron fleets and unchallenged power. Dozens of worlds fell to their might, bowing to their banners or burning under their guns. To them, Earth was just another primitive world, one more name to etch into their long list of conquests. And so, when scouts reported a small blue planet at the edge of the spiral arm, rich in resources and ripe for annexation, the High Command laughed. "Send the fleet," they decreed. "Let the humans know the price of defiance." The largest armada in decades was dispatched, 300 warships, each the size of mountains, bristling with weapons capable of glassing continents. The message was clear. Submit or be erased. In the halls of Earth's United Council, fear rippled like a living thing. Leaders from every nation gathered, their voices rising with desperation. "They will slaughter us," one cried. "Our fleets are nothing compared to theirs," another shouted. The generals admitted as much. Humanity had only just stepped beyond their cradle. Their ships were small, their weapons crude compared to the interstellar predators approaching. Yet amidst the despair, one voice stood steady. Dr. Ilara Voss, head of the clandestine program known only as Project Aegis, rose from her seat. "They believe us weak," she said quietly, her eyes fierce. "They believe their history of conquest is inevitable, but they know nothing of what we have built." The room stilled. Project Aegis had long been dismissed as rumor, a desperate gamble, whispered in military circles. Few believed it could work, but now there was no choice. The council voted, the order was given. Project Aegis would be activated. The Imperial fleet entered orbit with arrogance. From above, they gazed down upon Earth's surface with disdain. Cities glittered like fragile jewels. Oceans sparkled in the sun. To them, it was a helpless jewel waiting to be plucked. Admiral Varric, commander of the fleet, sneered as he gave his ultimatum. His voice, broadcast across Earth's channels, thundered with contempt. "Humans of Terra, you are beneath us. Kneel and submit, or your world will be turned to ash. You have 1 hour." Billions heard his words. Fear surged across continents. Families huddled in terror, children asked questions their parents could not answer, and soldiers stood by powerless. But deep beneath the surface, in a hidden facility carved into the Rocky Mountains, humanity prepared its reply. Dr. Voss stood before a massive console, her hands trembling as she keyed in final authorizations. Around her, engineers and soldiers watched the countdown. "Is it stable?" a general asked. "As stable as it can be," she answered. "We've never fired it before, but if it works, their fleet will not survive the hour." The general swallowed, hard. Then, "Doctor, God help us all." The moment the hour passed, Admiral Varric raised his hand. "Begin the bombardment." His fleet angled downward, plasma cannons igniting, ready to reduce continents to molten glass. But before the first shot could be fired, Earth answered. The skies blazed with light, from hidden silos buried deep under continents, from vaults hidden beneath oceans, and from satellites disguised as orbital junk. Project Aegis awakened. A pulse spread across the system, silent, invisible, yet immeasurably vast. It rippled through the void like the breath of a god, bending reality itself. The first Imperial ship shuddered, then tore apart. Not from fire, not from missile, but from within. Its hull unraveling at the molecular level, atoms ripping themselves apart as quantum resonance tore the vessel to shreds. "Report!" Varric roared. But the reports were only screams. One by one, his ships detonated, breaking apart like fragile glass struck by a hammer. Entire wings of destroyers vanished in seconds, their mighty shields useless against a weapon that did not strike. From without, but from within. It was as though Earth had found the note that sang the death of ships. Panic swept the Imperial armada. "Shields ineffective. Engines offline. Quantum destabilization across the hull." On Earth, Dr. Voss watched the data stream with cold precision. Her heart pounded, but her voice was calm. "Targeting wave 2. Fire again." Another pulse surged outward. Dozens more warships split open, scattering wreckage across orbit. A cheer erupted in the control room. Tears streamed down faces that had expected death, but instead saw salvation. Humanity was not prey anymore. Above, Admiral Varric watched in horror as his empire's pride was torn apart. 300 ships, the greatest force ever assembled against a single planet, were being destroyed without a single counterattack from Earth's visible fleets. He realized, too late, the truth. The humans had not been advancing slowly. They had not been ignorant or primitive. They had been silent, building something the galaxy had never conceived. Varric's last words before his flagship disintegrated were bitter with disbelief. "What have you done, humans?" When the final ship exploded, Earth's skies cleared. The invasion was over. Billions across the planet erupted into celebration. Cities lit up in joy, tears turned to laughter, and for the first time in centuries of human history, the world felt united, not in fear, but in victory. In the command center, Dr. Voss allowed herself a single breath of relief. She looked at the screen filled with the debris of the once mighty armada and whispered, "We are awake now. Let them all know." And they did. Across the galaxy, the distress signals of the Imperial fleet had already spread. Hundreds of listening posts intercepted the data, witnessing the impossible. 300 warships destroyed in minutes. Not by another empire, not by some ancient power, by Earth, by humans. The galaxy trembled with the realization. For ages, humanity had been dismissed as fragile, unworthy prey. But now, a single truth echoed in every council chamber and war room. Humanity had teeth. And in the silence that followed, one question haunted every empire. If this is how Earth defends itself. The galaxy had always laughed at Earth, a primitive world, a quiet, fragile species still learning how to crawl among the stars. The Imperial High Command saw an opportunity. A fertile planet, rich in water and resources, lying on the galactic frontier. To them, humanity was not an opponent, merely prey. So they sent a fleet. 250 ships, gleaming war engines that had burned entire civilizations to ash. Their arrival in Sol's orbit cast shadows across Earth's skies, blocking out stars with their immense hulls. On every world the Empire conquered, fear alone was usually enough. Fear and the knowledge that resistance was useless. But Earth was different. The first transmission from the fleet came as expected. A booming voice, translated into human tongues. People of Earth, you are now property of the Empire. Surrender your leaders, your armies, your resources. Resist, and we will scour your planet clean. On Earth, panic spread. News feeds screamed of alien ships blotting out the heavens. Crowds filled the streets. Soldiers clutched their rifles helplessly. Humanity had only begun to step into the void, and now giants had arrived at their doorstep. The council convened in desperation. Generals argued, presidents shouted, faith leaders prayed, and in the chaos, one voice whispered a single line that carried a weight far greater than anyone understood. They've awakened it. The room fell silent. Only a handful of Earth's leaders understood what that meant. Beneath the oceans, beneath miles of dark water where no human submarine dared to dive, something had slept. A secret buried long before the first pyramids were raised. Humanity had not built it. Humanity had only discovered fragments of its existence, hidden in myths, carved in ruins, whispered in the deepest legends. An ancient guardian, a sentinel that watched over this world. And now, it stirred. The Imperial fleet prepared their bombardment. Cannons charged, plasma lances humming. Admiral Selkar, commander of the Armada, stood tall at the heart of his flagship, smug and certain of swift victory. "Begin the cleansing," he ordered, but the order never completed. The sea split. Every screen, every eye, on Earth and in orbit, turned as the Pacific Ocean erupted. Walls of water rose higher than mountains. From the abyss below, something impossible rose. It was no ship, not in the sense the Empire knew. It was larger than their dreadnoughts, forged of black metal that shimmered like liquid night, carved with symbols that pulsed with forgotten power. Its eyes, if they could be called eyes, glowed with ancient fire. A sound like thunder rolled across the world as the Guardian breached the surface. And then it moved. The first blast struck an Imperial cruiser before anyone had even understood what was happening. A beam of pure energy, bright as a newborn star, tore the ship in half. Its pieces rained into the sea like toys snapped apart by a giant's hand. Alarms screamed across the Imperial Armada. Unidentified construct. Impossible power readings. Shields failing. Admiral Selkar's face drained of color. What is that? No one could answer. The Guardian rose higher, towering above the waters, its immense form dwarfing even the Empire's greatest warships. It raised one arm, and with that simple motion, a dozen more ships exploded. No missiles, no projectiles, just raw force bending reality to its will. On Earth's shores, billions watched in awe and terror. Some screamed in fear, others fell to their knees in worship. For them, it was as if a god had risen from the deep, defending its children. "A child," whispered, staring at the burning sky. "It's protecting us." His mother could not reply. She only held him tighter, tears streaming down her face. The Empire fought back. Desperate salvos of plasma and antimatter missiles rained upon the Guardian. The sea boiled, the skies burned, but nothing touched it. The Guardian's surface rippled, shimmering as if the very laws of physics bent in its favor. It answered with devastation. Every motion was final. Every strike obliterated a warship. The Imperial fleet, once so invincible, was reduced to wreckage in mere minutes. Admiral Selkar's voice cracked as he shouted, "Retreat! Retreat!" But there was no retreat. The Guardian unleashed a final roar, a soundless wave that rippled across space itself. Every Imperial ship within orbit collapsed inward, crushed by forces no science could name. The invasion was over. Silence fell. Above Earth, the once mighty fleet was gone, reduced to drifting debris and burning fragments. The Guardian lingered, gazing skyward with an expression none could read, neither rage nor mercy, only watchfulness. And then, as silently as it had come, it sank back into the ocean's depths, leaving only waves behind. The world stood still. Humanity had been spared, but questions remained. What was the Guardian? Who had built it? Why had it chosen to defend Earth? Scholars would argue. Priests would declare it divine. Militaries would wonder if they could harness it. But one truth was undeniable. Earth was no longer prey. The galaxy learned quickly. The Imperial distress signals had already been transmitted before the fleet perished. Dozens of worlds heard the screams, the shock, the final words of dying commanders. We cannot win. The planet is protected. That was all the galaxy needed to know. An empire's pride had been broken. Its fleet shattered instantly, and whispers spread across the stars. Earth is not alone. Something sleeps there, something ancient. In time, the Empire would try to explain it away, to hide the truth. But rumors cannot be killed so easily. Travelers spoke of the forbidden world, soldiers muttered of the ocean god, scientists dreamed of technology older than time itself, and humanity. Humanity looked to the sea with new eyes, for they knew the Guardian was not gone, only waiting, and should the galaxy ever try again, Earth's ancient protector